Welcome back to the Fire in Your Belly podcast, a podcast for smartish black girls who hate bad theology and love Jesus. I'm glad you're back, and this episode is discussing trusting God with your career and calling. Woo. Greetings! Our guest today is Jonas Mathabatha. Did I pronounce that correctly? I remember when we still did like the VITS study, you always used to have like people who you knew you were like discipling and like you had actual plans. Like most of us were like, I hope God sends someone. You like always had like a consistent level of dedication, and I think it was very admirable. Other than that, you also you are currently in academia, have a background in supply chain management and industrial engineering, and despite all of that and the demands of your job, you always remain faithful and you're serving. So Jonas will be joining us on this topic, and one of the biggest motivators for this topic is just the difficulty sometimes that it is for us African children to pursue certain things that are outside of a specific like career trajectory, like taking a year off to do ministry. And I want us to talk a bit more about that. So, after that massive introduction, welcome to the podcast, Jonas.
Oh, hello, Zetu. Greetings to yourself and your listeners. Thank you for having me on your podcast. It's good to be here. Thanks for the warm welcome. And you just reminded me of how we met back in the days, and I'm starting to think about that. It's been an interesting journey knowing you and doing life and ministry with you too. Yeah, it's good to be here.
Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. So, um, I remember I think it was a sermon I watched, and Michael Ramsden was talking about deciding on things that you're going to do in your life. And he's like, there's going to come a point where anything, no matter what you choose, it's always going to be, there's going to come a point where something gets difficult. So, the thing that's going to keep you going when things get difficult is that inner conviction or that knowledge or your why. Like, why am I doing this? So I want to ask, why did you take a year off to do ministry? And can you tell us about that? And maybe like, what were what was the thought process behind saying, okay, I have this amazing career that I could pursue, which is, as I mentioned, there's supply chain management, industrial engineering, and there's academia as an option. And why would you, given that, take time off to do ministry?
When you look at my background, or when I look at my background, um, my life has never been normal like any other person next to me. I would say I've always lived this other different life. Tell you my student life, my work life, and so forth. It has just been different because the setting of it as well. Um, because when I was doing my second year, I started working elsewhere full time, and even at that time when I was in ministry, and by being in ministry is when I met good, faithful friends of mine, whom even today we are still friends. Met around my first year at university, which was around 2009 or so, end of the year, and yeah, it has been different because since then I started being in ministry. By being in ministry, being discipled and being taught and learn how to disciple others as well. Whilst I was a student and having a full-time job, um, and also being in ministry actively. So I was juggling between the three things.
Mm.
So it became normal for me. It became a normal life for me, to be studying, working, and doing ministry. It was just my life. So I
Wow.
was used to that. And apart from that, there are certain decisions in my life which I took, and when I look back, there's this there's this repetition of seeing things uh, from the way God has been faithful.
Hmm.
So I would say that sometimes you take brave decisions because you've seen God having been faithful
Wow.
in your life. They say you live life forward and understand it backward. So whenever you're about to make
Mm.
a new decision, you look backward. How God has, how has God been in this journey for me? How has it been? And you realize that God has been faithful in whatever thing
Mm.
you put, um, whatever thing you invest your time on. Um, Equally so, my passion for ministry became stronger uh, whilst I was still a student and working as well. Because that
Mm.
time, like you are saying, that we met on a mission trip to Namibia in 2011. I was working full time that time, if you can remember,
Hmm.
and I took almost unpaid leave for 2 weeks,
Yeah.
week
Hey.
and a half. So, yes, because I had just started in that company. I didn't have annual leave, and it was difficult for me. It was almost going to be difficult for me to get an annual leave because I didn't accumulate any by then. But then at that time, I remember telling my former boss then that, before I signed this contract, there was something we had planned on a mission trip.
Mm.
And this mission trip came first before I signed this contract. And my heart is still there. And I still want to go there. Can you grant me a leave? And I was told that I don't qualify for leave because I'm new. And I said, that's fine. I'll take unpaid leave. And I did that. I took unpaid leave uh, to go for that mission. So that's where
Wow.
I started to see those small victories there and there that, God is faithful and has been faithful in whatever I put my effort in and trust Him, whether be in my academics, be in ministry, or in my job. Um, yeah, so back to your question to say, because now I was giving you a background. Yeah, then as my passion for ministry grew stronger, I moved to another university, to Johannesburg. I was in the Valley and moved to another university where I met other friends who were also actively involved in ministry. And sort of they encouraged me to remain in that lane, or rather in that passion. The passion grew stronger as you had people um, encouraging you around you, people who share the common vision and goals with you in terms of you guys trusting God and trusting God with your lives and also the lives of other people, on the journey of disciple making. So it was just that experience I went through. Um, there was some time, I took some time off, obviously, from work. Um, I remember even 2018 when I went for the global student program in the US. I had to
And
take 2 months off
that's
work.
2 months. Mm-hmm.
2 months, I didn't have that leave.
Yo.
Um, I could only qualify for perhaps 18, not even a full month of leave, but the remaining half, the remaining week and a full month, I took unpaid leave, of course, to be disabled. Uh, GSP as well. I know you've been there. When making decision about ministry, um, to go and stop other things that are happening in my life for ministry, it has just not been difficult because I've, I've always trusted God and He has been faithful in those decisions that I took.
Hmm. Wow. you know, everything you mentioned, the the Namibia mission trip,
Mm-hmm.
we were on vacation. Like we were, I
mm,
think it was between first semester and second semester. It was June, so
yep,
those
yep,
I it didn't disturb that kind of
mm,
aspect of of my life. I think Rejo was still also a
mm,
student, and still it
mm,
was still like, still a sacrifice still. So I can imagine how much more
mm,
for you. And then for me, GSP is also again, and that is the
mm,
global
mm,
student program by the navigators. And that also, I was still a
mm,
student, so
mm,
I took it during the vacation, and even then I think I missed a week of school, and it was so
mm,
hard
mm,
to convince my lecturer, because there was a certain
mm,
course that had extra level
mm,
outcomes or something. So he's like, you just don't pass
mm, mm,
design and then you fail the year if you don't come to every single
mm,
class on a specific Wednesday afternoon. So I
mm,
remember asking him, and he was just like, no, where you going? Come back early. And I was like, oh no, there's this program, and I just really feel God. And he's like, he looked at me like I was
mm,
playing, right? And then
mm,
I sent an email, try to like, oh, this is to the department. Guys, I want to go on this program. I'll be back a week or
mm,
two into the semester. And this guy was just like, you're not even doing well in my course. You're not even like the top student.
mm,
So,
mm.
and then I remember Alex was like
How
to
can I
me,
grant you?
yeah, Alex was like to me, no, the everyone, kings bow down to God. This lecture of yours
Mm,
bows down to, don't worry, if you're going, you're going, if you're not. And yeah, things worked out. I remember once
mm,
I
mm,
got my results for that next semester, I had like my fingers
mm,
crossed. I'm like, and I passed. I'm like, wow, thank you. Thank you,
mm,
Lord.
mm.
So yeah, I can imagine how
Yeah.
much more of a sacrifice it was for you. Because yeah, it was
Mm.
definitely a sacrifice. Sure. So
Yep.
then,
It was. It was.
can you please explain like which country you went to? So I'm now talking about when you actually were full time. Which country you went
Mhm,
to, and what was that about? And yeah, and so from then again, you also had to leave work and school to go
mm,
and be full time. So can you talk about that? And yeah.
mm. Yeah. Yeah. As you know, we've been on short-term programs, and sometimes short-term programs will be 1 week to 2 months. Like your mission trip will be a week, your GSP will be 2 months. So it would be, it will sort of be, it will not be that much difficult to set aside that time because it's 1 or 2 months. And sometimes those, they usually happen during the fall if you are a student. And of course, if you're working, then it means you must take time off work, which is something I had found easier to do at that time because I knew the timeline. And obviously, you had to negotiate with the company as well, the timelines. But fast forward 2016, uh, early 2016, I was presented with an opportunity to further be equipped with the ministry that I was involved with, which is the Navigators. They presented me an opportunity to go on a sort of part-time training, which was going to be 2 years part-time, meaning uh, you will be trained um, on how to do ministry and just also for personal development in your character and your walk with God. Uh, yeah, while you do other things of life. So at that time, um, yeah, at that time it was not a, it was an easier decision to make instantly because I knew I'll be equipped while working or studying or doing all those things. Um, but fast forward, after 2 months, I was presented with another opportunity. And in that opportunity, it meant um, there was an opportunity presented to me to go on 2-year full-time training program for 18 months, far away from home. The program has been there around this ministry in the past, where they usually train guys who are in ministry to equip them in the areas of doing ministry, their character, and their work with God, basically. When I finished school, or rather, it was just a norm that when you finish your degree or your school, you start looking for a job and start working. Already, as a black child, before you even start finishing school, you've got a sort of dependents or people to take care of, people who are looking after you, that this one's going to finish school, start working, take care of us. I'll say in my family, I'm almost one guy who managed to make it far in education as compared to my siblings. So yeah, so you'd say that yeah, when they look up to you and they didn't think it was going to be the way the route, or rather the direction which I've decided upon completing. And yeah, so I had a month to pray and think about that. And although I thought the month was very short for me to make that decision, because it was very short, because I had to make a decision which I'm going to be 2 years away from home. So prior that month, I
And this was Ghana, right? Was it?
I didn't know about this opportunity. It was in Nigeria.
Oh, Nigeria. Yeah. Oh, sorry. Yeah.
Yeah. So prior that month, I didn't have this in mind. Obviously, I didn't prepare for it, and now I had a month to reposition, you know, my life based on the decision that I'm about to take. Um, I'm now starting to think through it, because I knew it was going to be a 2 years decision,
Sure.
whatever I take that time. So I prayed faithfully with regards to that, but I, towards the end of that, me deciding, I can't say I I fully had God saying to me that you must go on this training or so. Whilst I was praying, obviously, I knew that this is for the good benefit of myself. I've seen how those discipling and equipping programs have helped me grow both in my work with God, and also just helping others to grow spiritually. And one of the reasons I'm saying that, because since I started hanging around or being involved in that ministry setting, I saw my life starting to change. I saw my character starting to change. I saw myself becoming a person that I was admiring. You understand, my faith in God, my my confidence in many things in life had increased at that time. And obviously, I knew it was as a result of being around those people who shared the common goals and visions with me. And I thought, anyway, this will be a great opportunity for me to even grow further. It wouldn't be a bad decision to make, because that time I haven't fully sensed that God had said to me that, yeah, it's something you can decide on, or I would like you to take that route now. So obviously, I had to make that decision, because there were timelines. We were preparing to leave. It's a program where we have other African brothers and sisters coming together to be trained at one place for specific 2 years. So if I missed that batch, then it means I don't know, I have to wait for another 2 years. And at that time, my commitment levels were very low, because I had just finished my postgraduate studies, and the other company had offered me something, and yeah, then I took a decision that I will go for this program, set aside that 2 years of my life, uh, to be trained, uh, to be trained in ministry and to be equipped, both in my character and work with God. So I took that decision.
Hmm. That
Yeah,
was
then I
it.
took that decision. Then it was late 26, no, late 2015 actually. Sorry, because the program started mid 2016.
Okay.
Yeah, but in a nutshell, I would say it was not an easy decision to make. It was not an easy decision to make. Like I explained to you, those factors. I
Mm.
had to look at my background, where I was coming from, and yeah, I had to look at the implications that it will have on me and those that were looking up to me,
Mm.
basically. Yeah, so like I told you, that the courage to take that decision was mainly because when I live my life forward, I always understand it backward. The way that I've always trusted God, and He had carried me through many decisions that I took,
Mm.
especially decisions which are God centered. I
Hmm.
realized that most decisions that I took that are God centered, He always come there, no matter what. Of course, I faced so much opposition,
Hmm.
um, in taking such a decision, especially from, I would say, I got the most of the support from my ministry friends.
Because they
Yeah,
understand. And
they
then,
understand.
and then most other people in your
Yeah, that's
family.
where I got most of the support. Um, I had to I had to talk through this to my mother, obviously, as my parent, and yeah, I would say it was also not an easy thing to communicate to her,
Mm.
because people had so much expectations on me, my family, my friends, even my friends in ministry. Basically,
Yeah.
I think that was a turning point. I like that moment, well, those moments, because it sort of defined who I have become today.
Hmm.
Um, I'm grateful for those moments or for those decisions, because, yeah, like I said, they have tend to define who I am today, because I knew what people were expecting of me. Um, I had to make choices which will disappoint others.
Mm.
And in the process of that, um, you basically, I would say your relationships with other people gets affected,
Hmm.
especially with those that you sort of went against what they were expected of you to take. Yeah, I know
Mm.
my relationships dwindled down that moment. Be some of my family or extended family, friends, or other people. But I had to take that decision, and I got the blessings from my mother to go.
Hey.
And yeah, yeah, I got the blessings from her, and I know it was difficult for her, but I thought because she had given me those blessings, then I can. She was the last person I wanted to hear her saying, "Yes, it's okay.
Mm.
You can do this." Um, and that was it. I went for 2 years. Then my journey for 2 years in Nigeria began. I left everything. Basically, the people who were pursuing me at the other company, I dropped them. My studies had finished, so the only thing left was me to embark on this 2 year training program. And that's where I left. I left to Nigeria with my fellow trainees, about 5 or 6 of them from other African countries. And yeah,
That's
we journeyed together on
2016.
that. Yeah, from 2016 until January 2018. Yeah.
Sure. Wow. That
Mm,
is so, yeah, that's so hectic. I like the fact that you said when your decisions or when there's a decision to be made that's centered on God, um,
mm,
you like even always go back and like, he's been faithful. Like you always look
yeah.
backwards.
Mm,
Yeah, and I think that's very powerful. Um, yeah, like Lamentations 3, therefore this I call to mind. This I call to mind, therefore I
mm,
have hope that your mercies are new every morning, great is thy
mm,
faithfulness. I always ask myself, I'm like, hey, am I really appreciating the places he once carried me? Or like
mm,
so that I can do what you're saying you do and you go, he's carried me before
mm,
or he's been there.
mm,
I wanted to ask, you said that some relationships
mm,
were affected, obviously. Were they restored? Do you
mm,
feel like now are they restored? Some of the ones that, so not your mom, but some of the others where you felt like this is strange because I took a decision that they didn't want me to take. Do you feel like they
mm,
restored?
mm. I would say a greater part of them has been restored, but some have suffered since then up until today.
Sure. So you've got to
Yeah,
make a
things have
decision.
changed. Yeah, so hence I'm saying that was a defining moment because
Mm,
now you are making choices, and there's also plenty of people
hmm,
who would like you to make choices
hmm.
uh,
Wow.
with regards to how they think you should take your route or your life. And it was a defining moment because, and even the people who heavily criticized me, I, you see, there's this principle of criticism where you always take a percentage of what is good, you treasure it, and you trash
Wow.
a percentage of something that the advice that you thought was not good, then you move on with
Mm,
life. Because I
mm,
believe that there's constructive criticism. Although some of those people who criticized me, it's not like they criticized me because some wanted the good out of my life. Obviously, they thought a normal way of doing things. Um, they thought there should always be a normal way of doing things. It should be like this always. One should finish school, start working, and so forth,
mm.
and see other things maybe as hobbies or extramural activities. But for
Yeah.
me,
Yeah, the hobby
yeah,
argument. Yeah.
uh, so for me, this was not an extramural activity for me because it is the process which had shaped me to become the person that I am,
Wow.
which has sort of a 360 influence in my life, everything that I do, starting with my character. I mean, like, I can think of living my life without the character or doing things without my character, without my faith in God, you know, without those things. I can think of going to take up those jobs um, with less confidence, really.
Mm,
Um, a character which doesn't resonate with, you know, not
mm.
becoming a better person, I would say. Obviously, I knew myself that I'm taking that decision because the process of the decision that I'm making today is something that have changed my life, or rather started to change my life the moment I started to be in ministry, because
Wow.
it was not this discipleship was very comprehensive. It was just not about making disciples. It cared
Mm.
about an individual. People cared about you. People cared about your well being. People wanted to see you grow in your character. People wanted to see you win in your academics. People wanted you wanted to see you win in your leadership abilities. People wanted to see you prosper in anything that you do in life. And the best investment that people always thought is that
Nice.
these are some of the things that you could be part of, or these are some of the packages that you can carry along as you grow in life. And because those things became a fuel for me, sort of in everything that I did. So it was a defining moment. I had to take those decisions because I knew it was, I knew even if I miss other opportunities, for example, um, you after finishing, you go to work. I knew even if I miss those opportunities, I'll grow to become, a person that I would like or I would enjoy in the
Wow.
future. Uh, yeah, so I thought, sweet, this 18 months will actually be a sort of restart or a reflection of my life. Like I told you, I was busy from first year, second year, working full time, studying full time, just being my life. I didn't, I hardly had time to reflect on things. So those 18 months were defining moments. So I took those decisions.
Mm.
Yes, they affected some of my relationships, as you were saying. They were affected. Some were restored, some were never restored. And and during that time, then when I was in training, it started to sink more. I started to appreciate how I was being equipped, how I was being discipled, how I was trained. I started to appreciate that because my life and my perspective around things and people, ministry, my life, the way I viewed things started to change for the betterment. So I started to fall in love with the person that I was becoming more. And at that time, it was when it seemed that this is the best decision that I've ever took in my life so far. Because what would have happened with me if I didn't take this decision? So I was happy. By then, like I told you, that when I took that decision to go, things were not as clear. But it was during
Mm.
the training program where my heart settled fully. And I thought, wow, I'm happy to be here
Mm.
um, on this training program. Like, it's so good to be here.
Sure. And your sense of, like, I think you touched on this, so your sense of fear about, like, I'm not fear of missing out, but like fear of when will I catch up, or when,
Yeah, yep.
yeah, yeah, when will I? Because I remember this one time, there's a friend of mine
Yep.
who, I think, I don't know, but for some reason she was going to stay in Cape Town a year longer, so she only started working the following year. Okay. And I remember them being like, the company she was going to go work for, they sat down and they were like, are you sure? And they were like, look at the
Mm,
salary. This is the amount times
mm,
12. That's
mm,
all you're going to miss by this whole year. And I remember her attitude towards it. She was just like, that's all they could put on the table. They were just like, this is the amount times 12.
mm,
And I think
mm,
that that was such a, like, a wise sense of weighing the opportunity cost for her, because it
mm,
feels like so much. If someone were to take any amount and times it by 12, it's a lot.
mm, mm.
However, if you think about it, like, okay, in the grand scheme of my life, it's not a
Mm.
lot. It is a lot, but it's not
Yeah.
as much. So yeah,
Mm, mm,
thanks for that, especially the fact that, yeah, just for touching on the fact that um there were those thoughts, there were those feelings. 'Cause I think most of us go through them, and then your heart was
yes.
sort of at
Um,
peace once you were on the program, once you saw
mm,
all of it, all of what it was doing for you.
yeah.
And yeah.
Yeah, and look, the other thing is it too is even prior making that decision to go on the full-time training, of course, uh, you could look around. Some of your peers were progressing in life, in other things. You know, they were going further, progressing with other things. And at that time, you still want to take a break. You understand? And
Mm,
yeah, sometimes you look at those things and you feel like you sort of don't feel like when will I catch up? So, but I'm glad for me, the when will I catch up part was not very strong in my life.
mm,
I've always lived my different journey that I was content with, but it has that fear, of course, sometimes generally it just comes naturally as a person. Uh, to say what will happen that time when I come back, will I still be employable, things like that. I mean, like you think about many things. You think about how you could have um, how you could have contributed in the lives of those who were looking up to you as well.
mm,
Do you understand?
mm.
You
I felt
realize that
that.
the implications is that this was going to happen, and I may not see this thing happening because I paused or did not progress towards what I had wanted to see it happening. So by that time, then you have to come to terms that yeah, possibly could, but what do I do now? You trust God. Um, you give Him all your fears, and you look back. You trust Him, and yeah, and even today, I'm still grateful, Zaytu, because I'm grateful for the 18 to 24 months that I set apart to be trained full time
Mm,
because it has changed my life completely. My
wow.
perspective, my growth in the love of God, and also my character basically. And I don't struggle to make decisions in my life currently. I can actually make a decision without so much consultations. I'm not a very wise person. I don't say I can make decisions on my own. Obviously, I need counsel there and there. But what I'm saying is, currently, I don't find it difficult to make a decision by myself, a major decision by myself in my life. And I think it is all because of that 18 months that I spent there. Um,
Wow.
yeah.
It reminds me of that thing. I think Canada likes saying it. It's like prayer saves time.
Mm,
So it's like in the moment you're like, wouldn't you rather rush out the house? But actually,
mm,
with his quote, if you actually spend 5 minutes praying,
mm,
it would have given you
yeah.
perspective, you would have gotten the peace of God, etc., etc., and then gone about your
Mm,
day. So I think it's kind of like
mm,
going back to that. It's like, yes, it was 18 to 24 months, but it did so much
mm,
more, even for your future, even
mm,
for the person you are today.
mm. Yeah, basically, that has been I would say that has been a turnaround of my life. Um, yeah, just who I am, how I view things, how I do ministry, and uh, and at that time when things come, you grow so much passionately in doing ministry
Mm,
that um, sometimes it is the only thing. Sometimes it is the only thing, or it is the major thing that is just part of your life and who you are, how you want to do things. By saying that, I mean that 18 months I was away from everything. It was just
mm,
about being trained on how to do ministry and also being equipped.
mm.
So my mind was just occupied with that only and only that. Because
Wow.
even even after that 18 months, I was still presented or asked to consider coming full time with the staff, um, meaning to do ministry on a full time basis. um, forever. Yeah, forever like that. And yeah, so although I'm back now, my life came. I came back. Obviously, I restarted my life, and my journey took a turn of going back into what I used to do, but while I'm in ministry as well. So
Mm.
yeah, so I'll say basically things are very clear at the moment. I'm still doing ministry. Uh, yeah, I'm still doing ministry. Actually, it has just become part of my life, and yeah, I'm still striving to grow spiritually, work with God, and in the areas of relationships as well. I think that 18 months has equipped or had accelerated my growth in many ways.
Mm.
The way that I do things, basically everything in my life.
How how would you say your fears of coming back and being employable again were distilled or were like taken down once you got back? What helped reduce those fears?
Um, I think primarily because I've been a person that has always developed myself in various ways um, in terms of personal development. So taking time to develop yourself in various ways will always equip you with the skills, um, knowledge, skills and knowledge which are rather a necessity or an added advantage to you in most of the things that you want. So because I've always been developing myself, be in academics, be in equipped in other areas of my life, so I started to have those skills and confidence, which had given me an opportunity to trust God even when I came back to to go back into the things I was doing. Um, it was not long that I went back to the market. I started the academic journey again. It was then I pursued my master's degree, and yeah, and here we are today. It has just been that journey,
Mm.
and life has just been normal like that. I would say I still look back and say I still trust God with the decision, or really, I still thank God even today with the decisions that I took. Um, yeah, I'm grateful. I don't feel like I have lost anything, but I feel like I have gained in the process. Um, yeah, because I just don't feel like I've lost anything.
Mm.
Although some of my peers may have been forward with life and all that, I never even saw that. It never even defined
Mm.
um, my moments up until today. It's never even defining my moments.
Wow.
If you ask me if I can take that decision again, yeah, I'll definitely take such a decision
Wow.
again.
Mm.
It was the best decision I ever took.
Would you say
But yeah,
that?
you in the process you have to learn many things.
Mm.
Obviously, I'm still working on my lost relationships.
Mm.
Yeah, it comes with that.
Mm. Would you say that you
Mm.
learn to trust God more through the process?
Yes, you learn to trust God more um, because sometimes He comes so faithful in
Mm.
various ways to satisfy your heart fully in a way that you don't have doubts or regrets. So basically, yeah, God become so faithful that you no longer live with regrets, with things of the past, but you just get amazed. So it blows you up. Wow,
Wow.
I thought life would be like this, but God has just amazed me.
Mm. Now yeah, most South Africans, we barely even visit to know about a lot of other cultures. So
Mm, mm,
you've been immersed. So I mean, already that's just amazing. What would you say to like your younger self faced with this kind of decision, or like someone else who's
mm,
at this crossroads, like, okay, should I? Um, I've gotten this
mm,
amazing offer at work. I just finished my postgrad.
mm,
People need
mm,
me. I could progress in the next 2 years. I could go from this position to this position. I could
mm,
earn this much. I could live here, whatever, whatever. And also the
mm,
idea that, you know, am I making the right decision? And then on the other hand, they maybe
mm,
want to make
mm,
a decision like going and doing ministry for a year or 2 years or going into training. How
mm,
would how would you
mm.
how would you talk to that person or to your younger self?
First of all, I think I would like that person to know that that training is optional.
Mm,
It's optional in a sense that when you go to the scriptures, uh, the umbrella of the Great Commission, which is to establish and disciple,
all
they sort of
nations.
come as a key, but equipping, rather the weight is for rather that equipping process is for personal development. But I wouldn't necessarily say um, it appears as mandatory from the scriptures.
Mm,
It is an optional thing to take if you want to grow in the knowledge of God. Of course, if God impresses that thing strongly in your heart to pursue that journey, it will not give you a peace of mind. Even if you go the
mm.
other direction, it will still haunt you where you are going. You will not have
So
peace of
aren't
mind
you?
about it. So basically, yeah, I would say if it's a if somebody feels strongly that God has impressed that in their heart, then I will advise that they can take that journey because um, it's always something good. There's always something good that comes out of it. Even if somebody was never prepared to go for that training, nothing bad will come out of it. Only good things will come out of it. People will
Mm.
come out refined,
Mm,
characters refined,
mm.
convictions refined,
Wow.
and yeah. So I'll say it will still be to their good benefit in major areas of their life. You know, mm, be their leadership and just life skills. Most of life skills and the way in which people handle decisions. So I thought it's not it will never be a bad way or a bad decision today because people they don't train you to become a bad person, but
Mm,
there's always good that
true.
comes out of it, even if you are not sure about it. But also I want to reiterate that um, we've got different journeys and paths in life. As we've
Mm,
got different journeys and paths in life, um, some are meant to rather pursue another field, be in ministry in politics, be in ministry in construction, be in ministry in whatsoever field.
mm,
So I feel like some people God has just designed them to be in a system which will just absorb them, and He will walk them through the process in which He wants them to go through. And I think people can still be on a training, um, even when on those journeys of other things in life, not necessarily to say um, it always has to be stopping
Mm.
or setting aside the 2 years full time. I realized that yeah, God works in mysterious ways and in different ways in different people. We all have different journeys, and even as people, it cannot always be expected that the journey will be the same. And so I'm saying, if you strongly feel it that that thing God has impressed it in your heart, then
Mm.
definitely go for it.
Mm. Because it
Yeah,
will
people
hunt
should
you.
not
What did you say? It
live
will
in those.
hunt you.
Hmm?
Because it will hunt you.
Yeah, apart from hunting you, you will not have a peace of mind about it. I mean, like, if it settles well with you, then it's okay. But some of these things, if you feel like they will always come after you. But obviously, like I'm saying, we pursue different, we walk with God in different journeys and in different places.
Mm.
And that is very important,
Mm.
to walk with God in different journeys and in different places, and to acknowledge Him in those different places or journeys that He is directing us towards.
Yeah. Sure. That's
Yeah,
deep.
because the opportunity for ministry training will always be available, whether you
Mm.
are full time in the job or not in the job.
Mm. Sure.
Mm.
Wow. Wow. I feel like I need to go like right down and be like, okay, this is what Jonas said. There were so many, yeah, no, there were like so many points you dropped, so many things where it's like, it's not just, like, I feel like the things you were saying, it's not just like, okay, cool, here's this airy fairy sort of like, oh, this is so nice because of this, but it's like real
Mm.
and also very much rooted in trusting God and
Mm.
moving away from leaning towards fear. Because I think when we
Yes,
lean
yes.
towards fear, it's like that's when we're
Mm.
counting all the doubts
Mm.
and this is why not. But it's
Yeah.
everything that you were saying leans towards. Sorry, yeah.
And another thing is, if you are to make that decision of going on that training based on fear, don't do it.
Mm,
I'll say, don't do it. Don't.
yeah. Rather,
Yeah.
yeah.
Wait and yeah, go on another journey, but let fear not define the decision that you're about to take. Or sometimes I'm saying, don't see it as a hobby to say, because maybe I have nothing to do at the moment,
Mm,
then I can do this. It's dangerous. I would say uh, that younger version of me should not take a decision based on that.
mm. Sure.
Mm.
Yeah. And even the fact that you're saying, yeah, it's all about pursuing God and weighing out the cost. Because for you, you gained so much more in the long run, even
Mm.
from making this decision.
Yeah, obviously, because making decisions out of fear will drive away um, your trust and faith in God, obviously, because it doesn't leave a space to trust God. You
Mm,
just live in fear. And I doubt that you will even get to hear what God is saying about those things, or yeah, just things in your life in general. So don't, if you are going to make just life in general, I think if you are going to make decisions out of fear, I
mm,
think don't make them. I think
wow.
carry on with what you are doing, if you're washing dishes, carry on washing the dishes, and you'll
Mm.
see after.
Yeah. Sure. Thank you so much, Jonas. That was so amazing. As I said, there were so many points, and I think that overall, or the overarching thing, it's like there's this a lot of encouragement towards
Mm,
trusting God and not fearing, and also just realizing what there is to gain. And I think, yeah, for
mm,
me, I really learned a lot. Thank you so much. We're at the end of our
mm,
episode. This was amazing,
mm.
amazing. Again, like there was a lot to learn looking backwards, the things that we see about God's faithfulness looking backwards, and also just yeah, you're making these hard decisions. And
Yeah, yeah,
and
I'll say, yeah, thanks for having me, Zetu. It was good to be here, and I also, like I told you in the beginning, that I barely reflect on the things in my life, and I think it has also helped me to reflect a bit today about what has happened in my life,
nice.
and just my confidence and the level of trust that I had in God. Yeah, I'm encouraged, because then this means that one can always trust in God, and this is the journey that I'm willing to take, to trust God with my life,
Mm.
even when things are not clear.